Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I wanted to go over some of the absolute greatest looks that you cannot have missed out on from the recent fashion weeks. Paris, New York, and Milan Fashion Week were all like very recently done. Now that they've passed, I wanted to show you some of the greatest looks from a bunch of different designers. And some of them I feel like are a little bit underrated or not as well known, but at least ones that I really felt like needed a shout out. Even from my little channel, I wanted to show you some of my absolute favorite looks, and I think you're gonna be surprised with how much color is involved with them. Of course, there are still some like all white outfits, but oh my goodness, the use of color in this season. And if I remember correctly, I said in the 2022 Trends Alert video that I did, which I'll have linked in the description box, is that really saturated colors are gonna be basically what's in. So it's not necessarily that there's one specific color, even though there were like repeats of the same color combinations that happened a lot within a lot of different fashion shows. Just super saturated colors, like really beautifully saturated colors were something that we saw in basically every single show, and they were gorgeous. So I've got to just show you some of the looks that absolutely stole my heart. Anyway, let's get right into it and waste no time because these looks are insane. You're gonna love them. The first one is Alexander McQueen, and obviously this was shown in New York, but let's start out with number 5 of 41. So if you wanted to like follow along with me on the app that I'm using, it's the Vogue Runway app. As soon as a collection is released, I get a notification saying that it's on the app and I can look through all of the different looks. And I just feel like it sort of brings you into all the fun of Fashion Week, is being able to watch the shows like as soon as they're done, which I think is amazing. We're starting with this amazing color, and it's like a chartreuse. It's got like a little bit of a green undertone to it in the yellow, but just the structure of this dress and the ruffle on the one side and how the neckline is, I just love the asymmetry of it. And then obviously like the ruffles in the front, the big slit in the leg. And I've said this so many times whenever I do any sort of a collection review, is I love when the designer takes into consideration the skin tone of the model. And I just love how the richness of her skin tone against like almost a neon color just makes everything pop that much more. It's all about getting the clothes to look the most gorgeous they possibly could, which is very similar to look 8 of 11, which is this green suit. Honestly, this look is insane, and green has been trending like at the end of 2021 and especially now into 22. We are seeing green everywhere and all different shades of it, but especially this one. I wish I was bold enough to wear this color, and I feel like if I were to, I would love it so much, but I always just gravitate to white because it's not just what I'm most comfortable in. Like I genuinely love it whenever I see a collection and there's like a section of white outfits. I just think it's gorgeous. But this color is second in place for me, and a good like men's inspired cut suit. The sharpness of both the lapels and the shoulder together brings so much drama, and I love it. So this is actually the last one, and I couldn't leave it out because sometimes an all black look is just, it's just an essential. Like everybody has an all black look that they go to in their wardrobe whenever they're wondering what to wear. And this for me, just like, this is the way to do an all black look. It's incredible. This massive poofy ruffle, like I just think it's gorgeous. I love that there's so much asymmetrical drama happening in a lot of his looks. So with this one, if you blow up the picture, like if you zoom in a little bit, you can see on the left-hand side, and I'm just wondering how the pockets are attached, but I just think that this look is stunning, and especially a suit on a woman is just something that exudes so much power, and having so much different texture when you're doing a monochrome look like this one that's black, having the ruffle be one material, the suit be another, and then finally like the patent leather and the little bit of silver metal that's on the front of the shoes just ties everything in. And especially again with her skin tone, like you just, I would give this a 10 out of 10. I love it so much. Okay, the next two looks are from a designer that I hadn't actually heard of before, and it's MITHRIDATE. And if I'm saying that wrong, I'm sorry, but this is from the Fall 22 Ready to Wear collection, which is what the majority of the shows were that just showed anyway. And there are two looks that I wanted to show you. The first one is 4 of 60. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. If I could wear this tomorrow, I would do everything in this. I would eat, sleep, dream in this because I would never want to take it off. It's so good. There's so much that we can talk about. There's so much going on in this. And to start off, obviously at the top, what I first interpreted this as was like almost a bolero on top, but because I realized afterwards, it's what's considered sort of the blouse underneath this amazing, amazing coat. And it's all bedazzled, like it's insane. And then it's tied in again with the earrings and the detail that goes all throughout it with more of that metallic beading, and there's embroidery, and it looks like there's like a raw fringe at the end of the cuffs of the sleeves, which is just something that I thought was incredible to do, because when you have a look that's this sort of out there and sort of aggressive and over the top, I loved that the hem was left untouched, and you can see that there are slits on the side of the sleeves, similar to how it is here, but this part, as you can see in the photo, is left unfinished. And I just love that, because when you have a look that is this powerful, including the little bedazzled purse that she's got going on, it's so nice to have a little bit of that like raw edge to it, and leaving an unfinished hem I think is like the best way to accomplish that in this look. And then finishing it off with the shoes, I don't think that this is what I ever would have expected, but having that lug sole and the sort of combat like utility boot look is just, it's so in right now, so I love that that was fed into this. And I'll go faster with the next one, which is 16 of 60. And I just wanted to point out a few things. One, the fact that she's wearing a tiara with the collar that's basically like that sort of Maison Margiela puffy quilting look, especially because puffer jackets have been so in the past couple years. I just love that they incorporated that material and that very relaxed style into what could otherwise be looked at as something that the royal family might wear. Like, it's very extra, but then when you start deconstructing it, like, we not only have this puffy quilted collar that looks like it's tufted as well, the one underneath it has butterflies on it, which is like such a Y2K nod. Then you've got this beautiful ankle length lace dress finished off with lug sole boots. That's 2022, and I love it because it's so reminiscent of this time in a nutshell, but done in a way that was just so extraordinary. Next is Mac & Mac, and I love their shoes. Who doesn't? But I didn't really realize that they also had clothing to go along with it. So I just have one look, but a lot of their looks have a very similar motif, which is like the infinity sign, and you can see it on the belt in this picture. I really like how it's just so subtle and feminine, because especially when you're comparing to other designs that we've talked about or will talk about, it's just a lot of sort of over-exaggeratedness, which is kind of what you expect from like high fashion at fashion weeks. But with this one, I love how it went more for the dainty feminine sort of style with that 3-layer belt. And then the pink on pink is something that I saw in so many different collections. I couldn't screenshot enough to show you, but there's just so much richness in tonal combinations that was seen so much in these particular fashion weeks. Obviously, Mac & Mac is known for their shoes, and I love that within the composition of this photo, there's a green background, pink on pink as far as like the clothing is concerned, and then the shoes sort of tie it all together with the pink lace-up leg and then the green block heel. I just thought it was so good and just made everything like totally cohesive. Loved it. So the next one is also from a designer that I hadn't heard of before, and it's KRIZIA, K-R-I-Z-I-A. Let me know if you've heard of them before, but I also just loved the space that a lot of these photos were taken in. And if you know me at all, like, I love statues and busts, and I just think that especially where everything was taken, like the photos are insane. If I were to ever have a collection, this is how I would want it to be staged, because I just think that it's so gorgeous, especially against a white background. This next, again, like trench coat in this green color that just keeps catching everybody's eye. Green is just becoming so much of a staple color that it's almost like a neutral. You can pair so much with it, and so seeing it done in this way, pared down, some white boots, like more funky laces, but a neutral bag, a neutral background, some chill sunglasses. This sort of look goes to show that Fashion Week isn't necessarily about like the most extravagant, but it's also just showing how to do staple pieces really, really well. The next one, and I only have one from this brand, it's SARA WONG. This is look 19 of 31, just in case you're looking in the app. It's the trench style, and I love how it's like, it's deconstructed, it's also sort of military inspired. I love that even though there's so much structure going on, they've got the long hanging extra pieces of belting around the wrists and around the waist. And then especially if we can pay attention to these boots for a second, because they're just so funky. I love them. So keeping it all monochrome is just a way to make everything look so cohesive. And it also gives you a lot of like different play in details that at first glance might go unnoticed. It's almost like looking at a Renaissance painting. At first glance, you might see what's going on, the story behind the painting, but then as you keep looking at it, you find more and more beauty in the details. So especially with these shoes, I just think that they're so cool. I would love to wear these boots. I'm assuming that these are leather, and with that sort of funky wing almost on the top of the shoe, let me know if you guys like these. But then they've also got some like ties lacing up the shaft of the boot, which just adds a little bit more dimension. And the fact that they go above the knee also means that it just elongates the whole look, because the trench coat goes below that, so you're getting sort of this almost uniform looking effect, which I think is gorgeous. The next look is from BRONX and BANCO, and it's look 22 of 43, and purple was one of the colors that I said was gonna be most trending in 2022, and this one, it's definitely very saturated, but I just loved these sleeves. I mean, I don't know how practical this look is in everyday life, but if I was gonna be photographed at Fashion Week, this is the sort of drama that I would love to have. Something as simple as like what looks like a cropped blazer with these massive sleeves that at first glance I thought were actually petals, but looking a little bit closer, it is a feather detail. We've seen a lot of ostrich feathers, like the thinner ones used in the past couple years. Those have been super trendy, and I figured that they would stay really consistent in 2022, but I love that these ones are a bit fuller. Purple and pink is something that we've seen so many times over, or different shades of pink on pink, so especially sort of layering the metallic purple with the metallic pink in the shoe, I thought was really like cool and sort of Barbie-ish, but done in a way that's obviously super edgy. The next two looks are from June J, I hope I'm saying that right, and they're looks 18 and 22, and it's almost the exact same look, but I really did love the whole silhouette of it. Couldn't be more on trend with what we've been seeing so much of in the past few months. Starting off with an oversized sweater vest. Sweater vests have been huge, especially like more varsity style ones, but this one, a big chunky knit, and then with that Maison Margiela-esque puffer jacket underneath, I just thought that it was very, very suited to the times. And because it's this chocolate brown color, another one that we've been seeing everywhere, especially more like Y2K inspired pieces have been done in this color a lot. And then with the boots that give the same sort of impression as the last ones that I mentioned, because they're going so high that they go above the hemline of the top, it just makes the legs look extra long. You don't have any sort of breaking points in between the hem of a pant and the start of a boot, and I love that. And look number 18, even though a little bit more sort of exaggerated, I guess, and maybe a little less day-to-day looking, it's just so similar. But I love this sort of deep teal color, so I had to just show you because I really do love the diamond quilting and the metallic sheen that it has. I just thought that these looks were really great. And then I think with these ones, these boots are also more of like a teal meets gray color. I really do love all of the elements of it. The next three looks are all Giambattista VALLI, and I just find that the more and more I see his designs, the more in love I fall with his sort of aesthetic. And I mean, big white ruffles, you can't go wrong. So I'll sort of go over all of these three at once. but also take a look at the makeup on these models because it's stunning. I love the like dewy reflection of all of the highlighter that's used. Obviously models are gorgeous anyway, but to be able to have such a makeup look enhance the beauty of the clothing. I just love the creativity that goes behind it all. So anyway, check out this first one, which is 56 of 59. The tiered ruffle look is something that we've seen so many times. Whenever it's done, it's always something that like shocks me and sort of takes my breath away. Like it's gorgeous every single time. So let me know which one you like best between this one and then look 57. I love the ruffle with the lace underneath. Okay, so we were talking about Giambattista VALLI, and the last look that I wanted to show you was this one, 55 of 59. And something about that black bow belt just sang to me. And if you hadn't watched again the last video that I did, which was the little black dress video, the bow that I had made at Valenciennes for that dress is something that is probably just an accessory that I would have kept specifically for that dress, but seeing it like this, I feel like it just opened up a whole new way to accessorize white dresses that I have in my closet with that belt. I think that this is such a beautiful thing to do, and also something that, again, you could sort of DIY or make yourself if you wanted to, but everything about this look, and especially I think that this is called a crumb catcher at the top, when you have like that little bit of tulle standing up along the neckline of it. It's just absolutely stunning with the tulle and the boning and the lace and the cuffs, how there's that motif and the ruffle on them as well. I just think it's stunning. I love everything about this. I have two looks from Stella McCartney, and then on to the last designer that I wanted to mention, which was Balenciaga. But this first Stella McCartney look is 17 of 41. It's the purple. I just love this. I love how they did this whole cool toned ensemble. I love the different blues with the purse and also with the shoes. I just think it's absolutely gorgeous. And the draping, there's actually a course that I'm taking online right now all about how to drape fabric. It's something that actually came across my Pinterest when I was just scrolling through, and I thought it was just, it's amazing. So if there's one thing that I can do later on, like actually take from this course, I'll definitely show you what I've learned when I've got to that point. But I love the draping in this. I think especially starting with this mock neck, and something that sort of anchors the whole look, not only at the collar but also in the midsection, and then all of this gorgeous draping that just looks like a waterfall of fabric from the shoulders all the way down to the knees. It's just gorgeous. I love, again, the super saturated colors. And speaking of color, the next one is the only pattern I think that I mentioned in all of this. It's like 30 of 41, and it's this pattern suit. And as we can see with this one, it is obviously super oversized, and the shoulders are still like pointed, but they're much less structured than other ones that we saw, especially comparing to Alexander McQueen in the beginning. But all of this pattern is something that we saw a lot in, if you hadn't watched my Emily in Paris video, how she incorporated so many different mismatched patterns and somehow made them work was something that I said we were going to be seeing a lot more in 2022, and sure enough, this is exactly what I mean. None of it is really making sense, but then when you put it all together, it does just look like it was meant to be. So all in all, is this something that I would wear? Maybe, but likely not. But I think that this is just, it's beautiful in its own right. Now for Balenciaga, there are three looks that I wanted to go through, and the first one is just like quintessential Erin in the wintertime. I just love the big fluffy fur coat, the super slim line of the legs, and with the boots, I'm pretty sure those are like Balenciaga knife boots. You can't really tell, but I think that this whole set is worth talking about, especially because of Demna, the creative director. I think it's worth just taking a couple minutes and even reading up more about him. He himself was a refugee coming from Georgia when there was war happening there, and especially because everything that's going on with Ukraine hit so close to home with him. This collection was just so heartfelt. You could just see the emotion behind each each and every single look. And because of how he staged it, it was a winter storm, and because it was all about braving the storm of life and just continuing on even when life seems to be at its hardest, I thought that it was really incredible that he was able to send such a powerful message and convey his emotion through a conversation around fashion. And there was a lot of speculation whether or not he was going to actually go ahead with the show. I think at one point it was officially off, but with the last two looks being 68 and 69, he just sort of showed that he stood in solidarity with the people of Ukraine, which of course is just, it's an incredible message, again, to be able to display in this sort of way. Yellow and blue representing, of course, the colors of the Ukrainian flag, but it's also just such a powerful show to watch. If you have the time to take 10 minutes, even if you don't watch the whole thing, just watch the finale to that show, because it's so touching and it's so amazing how, even though it's something that's so terrible going on right now, that fashion is still like a beacon of light for people that are going through horrible, horrible things that nobody should ever have to live through. There's such a community around fashion, and it's such a great thing to be a part of, and even just taking the time to support Demna and to support this collection is something that I'm just happy to be a part of. So if you did like this video, please consider watching a few more that I'll have right after this one, some more reviews that I've done of different collections that have released, and if there's any specific designer that you would like me to go through, just let me know, and please comment your favorite one. I would love to know which looks of my favorites were your favorites. Anyway, this is just so fun. I love talking fashion on any day, but especially when it also has such emotion behind it. That's just where there seems to be even more of a connection. But thank you so much again for watching this video, and I'll see you very soon in my next one.